What's up, YouTube? It's your boy SaxrebelHD, aka the Black Shy Guy, and welcome to another episode of The Theory. In The Theory, I criticize gamers, game developers, and other prominent members of the gaming community on why they do some of the things they do, or why some of the things they do happen much similar to the way I criticize compositions and composers in music theory. And before I get into the topic of this video, I just want to go out now and say this video is highly controversial and is about race, and it's from the perspective of a person that is a minority and person of color. If you're comfortable talking about race, if you don't think race matters in video games, this video is not for you, although I do encourage you to stick around and watch the video. However, if you're open-minded and you do like to hear stuff like this, and you may have an opinion or an argument that can counter mine if you're into provoking thoughtful conversation, please do watch the video. Please comment, make a video response, do whatever you have to do. Now, this video stems from a response to a friend of mine, DanTheMan0531, and he made a video on the Game So White hashtag and why he thought it was cute. So before we go on to that, and my overall topic is why diversity is needed, I'll talk about this Polygon article. The Polygon article is entitled Colorblind on Witcher 3, Rust, and Gaming's Race Problem, and the link will be in the description. All my links will be in the description. And it discusses how game protagonists are inherently white, and no one seems to take the time to acknowledge the lack of diversity until they are forced to play as a character of a certain race, and how you need to start to think about diversity more within video games. And I thought this article was really groundbreaking. Actually, I read it after I had my discussion with my friend Dan, and I thought, despite what he thought, I thought this article was brilliant, and it gave some really interesting points and ideas to why we do need diversity. And it's something I always think about, but I didn't have quite the words to explain it as he did. Of course, the person who wrote it is a person of color, and therein lies why we have this article. Dan didn't like the article at all. For some reason, he thought it was poorly fact-checked, and he thought it was poorly written, and it was a clickbait article. And I completely disagree with him. I think his opinion on the video is quite horrible, and if he thinks that, then this is why we need videos like the one I'm doing now. His opinion was that basically he wondered why it doesn't matter what color a character in the video game is. Like, if you think that it matters, it's something wrong with you, and then you're just being a social justice warrior trying to insert race and minority issues in a place that doesn't belong within the game. He also goes on to say there are plenty of minority characters and people of color in gaming, but if he did that, he would spend all day naming characters, but he didn't name one in his video, and I pointed that out to him in his response. And there in his video, which I'll also link in the description, lies the problem. Gaming's lack of diversity starts with the fact that white people don't want to talk. Well, not even just gaming, but diversity in general starts with the fact that white people don't understand how it affects minorities. They don't understand why it happens, and they don't understand that what they can do to help have more diversity. Now, the first step to acknowledging the diversity is how it affects minorities. He said that there's something, my friend Dan said it was something wrong with you for wondering or questioning why game characters aren't black, or people of color. I'm not gonna say black. One thing is that the idea of the lack of diversity has psychological effects. It does. When you watch TV as a black male in the United States, and watch TV, I largely see black characters on TV and shows. I largely see black characters in my video games, in music that I listen to that is non-hip hop, as well as in books. The authors of texts I read for my classes are by white men. Like, it can go on. When I do finally see a black name or a black person or anywhere, it gives me a hype, a morale boosting on, wow, a person of color was able to do this. As a young person, when you start to realize you don't see black people or people of color doing something, it makes you start to feel like that, well, maybe people of color are inferior. And it's not nothing wrong with us either. There's nothing wrong with any person of color from thinking that way. It's just how things have been conditioned. You see, the richest people in the world, most of them are white. You see the top shows on TV, you know, white. You know, a lot of the highest selling albums of all time, white men. Classical composers are largely white. We studied over 1,500 years of music history in a year, and within that, it wasn't until the last 100 years where we got black composers. And even still, they didn't get as much, you know, recognition as a white composer. And that's me going to an all-black college and university. As a white person, you see white people everywhere, so you know it's normal for you. You always have this sense of confidence in everything you do, because everything you do is mostly seen as done by people by you. And when you don't, or when you do finally see a person of color, we're always filled with one or two responses. Either you scoff at it and you're just like, oh, okay, look, there's a person that's not white, great. Or you have something negative to say. And this goes with games like Rust, where people refuse to buy the game now because they're scared of the fact that they might have to play as a black character. Or when we see the color games where people were upset with several of the characters were depicted as black people, as well as the Fantastic Four reboot, the most recent, where Michael B. Jordan is playing what's his name? I forgot his name. The Human Torch. I can't remember the actual person's name. So when you understand that diversity, the lack of diversity doesn't necessarily affect you, then you understand more that we need to have it. The second step is that white people and people that are majorities need to realize why lack of diversity happens. The lack of diversity happens because they're trying to establish a certain user base. They're trying to get as many people into their project at one time. And this goes for gaming, this goes for music. When label artists look for people, they're trying to just establish a certain demographic. The majority demographic of rap are black people. So they pick black rappers because that's what they want. That's the artist they're trying to grab at. Similarly, if you go to rock and roll, even though it was a black created genre, that white people end up stealing and taking over. But we'll talk, that's not anything. You will see that the face of rock and roll are white people. However, when you get black rappers, like how you have Eminem and you have Iggy Azalea, you know, white people think that's a step for them in the rap community, even though Iggy Azalea isn't. But Eminem was a pretty good stuff. And just like when I see at one of the musicians in the group like Maroon 5 is black, I start to feel good, like, wow, you know, black people doing some rock stuff. That's awesome. But like I was saying, you have to realize that it's happening because they're trying to establish this certain fan base. And if you don't believe me, Zelda has her name from The Legend of Zelda because she was named after Zelda Fitzgerald. And if you don't know who that is, she's the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and that's the guy who wrote The Great Gatsby. That's a great book for those of you who have not read it. You know, some don't read. But and while her parents had nothing to do with it, she was given a white name. That name is, you're not gonna see many people of color with a name like Zelda. I'm sorry. And the name was given solely on the basis of being pleasant and nice sounding. So, yeah. Then, when we go to Link, Link's design was made after the fact that they wanted to appeal to a lot of people, as I said. So they made the design after Peter Pan, a character that is traditionally white in appearance. So, and this comes from Miyamoto himself. I'll put the article that I got it from in the description for you to see it, as always. So this kind of propaganda exists in order to grab a certain audience. They want to grab a certain audience. They want to grab as many people as they can, so they grab recognizable things. Recognizable names. So yeah. The third step is to understand that you, as a majority, holds a crucial step into making sure that diversity is granted. One of the things in the colorblind article, the first article, what's up, Chase? Hi. Was that because of the fact that there are not enough people of color in the gaming industry, that most time lack of diversity goes unnoticed, and no one seems to question it. So the first step, third and final step in the holding is that people have to, majority white people have to stop being colorblind about the situation. Now, when you know that when you see something that's talks about diversity, instead of scoffing it off, instead of being angry, instead of being upset, instead of questioning why it matters, you have to realize that it does matter. You have to realize that by ignoring the subject, by not wanting to talk about it, you know, because white people are uncomfortable talking about race. It is, and they usually respond by being angry and asking why it doesn't matter. And when you stop doing that and you tackle the problems head on and say that yes, we do have a race, a diversity issue, then that will go a long way into making sure that diversity is granted. And now, don't get me wrong, there are people who do, white people, there are people that are in the majority that see the lack of diversity and they talk about it. Yes, sir, Chase. And they talk about it, but largely they do not. So, if you stop being colorblind, I think it would go a long way into granting diversity. And the last thing I want to talk about, I've already went way over what I want to talk about, is a little statistic that I saw and that I talked about in my response to my friend Dan in his video. And it was some statistics, it was some statistics on diversity in video games. And the first, I'm only going to talk about the first two charts because we're way out of time. The first chart gave two charts. One was on the gender of the primary characters of video games, and then the second one, the first part of the chart, and the second part of it was the race of those said primary characters. A whopping 85% of the characters were white, 9.7 black, 3.7 biracial, and 1.7 being Asian. Look further down to the second chart. They have some diversity statistics among adult gamers from it's from another chart from a different site, and it talks about the stats of gamers. Is in the United States, of course. So sorry for you guys that aren't in the States. And it gives us a number that says roughly 67 gamers are white, 13 are black, and 20 are Latino. And you can already go and see that how they'll stack up to the charts. I will post it in the description. There is a disproportionately more white people in gaming, and there are not enough, nowhere near as many Hispanics at all, and not enough black people. So if you think that diversity is there, it's not nearly as diverse. And so this is all of my video. I went way over what I want to talk to. I want to stay under 10 minutes and we're going on 13. Please comment, respond in the video response, do whatever. Your boy Sax is out. Peace.